Hi guys, it's Angie with Fun Endeavors Tie-Dye Lab. Today I'm going to make an ice-dyed gravity spiral. The setup that I'm using for this ice-dyed gravity spiral is I have a piece of vinyl guttering in between two plastic sawhorses. Then I've placed a plastic tub or tote underneath the sawhorses to catch any of the runoff from the melting ice and dye. I had a few technical issues with my camera, and so I didn't catch the folding of this, but this is the same exact technique that I used. This is just a different shirt. I'm placing the spiral down in the lower portion of the shirt, so I've used a washable marker to make myself a mark where I'd like to start the spiral. Then I've placed the shirt over the vinyl guttering, and I'm using a fork to start the spiral. For this technique, I don't necessarily care if my spiral is perfect. I'm not going to tie it or hold the folds in place with anything. This is just to give kind of a little bit of a design in the shirt. I've done several of these gravity folds, and I've found that I actually like the look a little bit better on the spirals when I add a little bit of ice to the top and then add the dye over the top of the ice. So that's what I'm going to do on this shirt. I'm going to place a wire basket over the top of the spiral portion of the shirt. Then I'm going to put a little bit of ice down in the bottom of that basket, just enough so that the dye doesn't go directly on top of the shirt. I did one shirt and I basically had to go back and kind of repair the shirt because I could see the areas where I placed the dye directly on the shirt, and I didn't like that look. So I've been kind of messing with it and experimenting with it, and so far this is the technique or the way that I prefer best for the gravity spirals. For this shirt I have chosen 4 colors, and I'm hoping that I get some really cool color splits. I know Dusty Purple gives great color splits and Crappy Scrappy does too, but we'll see. I'm going to apply the dye kind of in pie type shapes. And I'm starting by using Crappy Scrappy from Grateful Dyes. And I think that was like a special color. I don't think it's still around. Now I'm going to use Dusty Purple from Pro Chemical and Dye. And if you watch a lot of my videos, you know this is one of my favorites. It goes on green and it has a green color split to it, but it's actually a purple color and it's really pretty. Then I'm going to use Amber Waves from Dharma Trading Company. And across from the Amber Waves, I'm using Blue Kachoo from Dharma. And that was one of the special spring of 2022 colors. I think it was a muck color, so I don't think that one's available anymore. You could really see with the Amber Waves how the wind was blowing the dye around. That is kind of one of the things about doing the gravity dyes where I do them, because it is just so windy here all the time that perfect dye placement just doesn't happen on these gravity dyes for me. There's just too much wind outside. You can already see some of the Blue Kachoo over on the sleeve of that shirt where the wind blew it over there. So after I have the dye on the shirt, I'm going to put a little bit of additional soda ash over the top of the dye, because I'm going to add quite a bit of ice to the top of this shirt. I want to make sure the dye goes all the way down to the outer edges of the fabric. I'm going to add another layer of ice right on top of the dye. It's like 100 and something degrees outside today, so the ice is going to melt really fast. So after this first layer of ice melted, I came back and continued adding ice until the dye got all the way down to the very outer edges of the shirt. I had to move my ice container around on the shirt because if you notice, there are a few little areas like part of one sleeve that are sticking out and are not underneath that container. I did also come back and add just a little bit of Blue Kachoo to one portion of the shirt, because that was the one area where the dye was not kind of creeping down that area. It was still a little bit white. So I added some more of the Blue Kachoo, added quite a few more layers of ice, and left the shirt and allowed it to process I don't know, maybe 12, 15 hours total. The shirt basically dried out by the time I went to go and rinse it. That's fine though, because like I mentioned earlier, it was really hot. So the dye had plenty of heat and time to process and bond properly with the fabric. So to rinse the shirt, I started like normal, rinsing it in cold water to rinse out the soda ash. Then I warmed the water up to hot and continued rinsing to rinse out any of the excess dye that didn't bond with the fabric. When the water was running almost clear, I put the shirt along with some Dharma's professional textile detergent into my washing machine, and I washed the shirt on a hot water cycle. So now that the shirt has been washed and dried, this is what it looks like. Okay, so what do you think? I think this one looks really pretty. Every time I look at this one, it reminds me of something in an antique home. The darker colors in this one and the way they kind of flow together with that little pop of gold color from the amber waves, it just gives me an antique vibe. But I really like it. I think it's really pretty. Most of the amber waves just kind of disappeared. It got overtaken with the darker colors, but it does show up some just a little bit in the bottom portion of the shirt and up on the sleeve of the shirt. And like I said, the dusty purple doesn't disappoint. I think it looks really pretty. I like the way it kind of flowed in that one little stream up into the neck portion of the shirt. I think that looks cool. The crappy scrappy is what's given some of the other purple colors coming out of the center of that spiral. And I think the blue caoutchouc looks really cool too. I've been trying to step outside of my comfort zone a little bit and use some of the colors that I don't normally use. So amber waves is not a color that I choose a lot, but I've started making a more concerted effort to choose some of those colors. And I'm glad I did. I think it looks really cool on this shirt to have that one little pop of an unexpected color. I've added some close-ups so that you can see some of the cool dye movement in this shirt and see the way the colors did split out a little bit. I just love the dye movement and the dye flow in the gravity dyes. I think it is just such a cool effect. How it just starts out real defined and it just flows down the shirt and it's so wispy. I think that watercolor effect is absolutely beautiful. I really like this technique, and I like adding the dye over the top of the eyes for the spiral because it makes the center of the spiral a little less defined and a little more watercolor-like. So it's like having a spiral, but not a super defined spiral, which for this shirt, the way the dye moves, I think it's a really cool effect. I really like that look. But what do you guys think? Do you like this shirt? Do you like the colors that I used on it? Do you like the gravity dyes? I sure hope so, because I have been having a blast making all these cool gravity dyes. I enjoy the spirals, the scrunches, all of them. I think they're just so much fun to make, and they're all so unique. Drop me a comment down below and let me know. And if you all have enjoyed watching me make this shirt, I sure would appreciate it if you would like it and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.